Hello, hello, hello. It's me, the Glitch Witch. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Glitch Jams Live. This is the fifth episode, fifth Friday, not in a row. And I am live right now from the home office. And because I'm live, what I like to do before I jump into the show, which we have, as I say, a lot of show today, I just want to check in on folks who are in the chat. Because if you're on YouTube right now live, you can join the chat and get confirmation that the sound is great. And as soon as I said that, Jen Turner on my team came through saying everything is sounding good. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so welcome to Glitch Jams Live. This is a weekly live stream where we talk about what's new on Glitch, share the cool projects that the community has been making and sharing. And we started this as part of our kickoff last month of Glitch Community Code Jam. So I'll give a refresher on what that is. We're in the second month of the jam, and I went on quite a journey that I want to take you on for my own submission to the jam. So let's get started. Welcome to Glitch. We're going to be showing off some of the projects people have built on it. We're going to do some live coding. If you're new to this and you're new to coding, we're going to make this as beginner friendly as possible. But really, this is just about looking at the cool stuff that everyone's making, and hopefully it inspires you, like it inspired me. But this is the homepage right now. But let's jump into what is new. So on the Glitch blog, every month, Jen Turner, who's in the chat, does a really great roundup of what the community created that previous month called Last Month on Glitch. So go to blog.glitch.com right now and you can read all about that. We talk about updates as well here. So there's an embed of this current episode happening right now. But a really super exciting thing that's happening because it's December is our third annual Last Year on Glitch. So last year on Glitch is where we do a roundup for the whole previous year. It's kind of like an unwrapped of sorts. But we want the community to tell us what their favorite apps were, what delighted them, what helped you learn, even what inspired you, or what you created to inspire others. So until December 22nd, we're taking nominations. We link to the submission form here. It's a standard Google form. We have lots of really cool categories that we brought over from previous years, and we have a brand new one. So I'll just go briefly through all of them. And you can submit as many as you want. You could submit projects that you created. Really just anything that's on Glitch that you want everyone else to share. And then we showcase it running into the new year. I can believe it's the end of the year, but I also can't believe the year is almost over. So let's see. Here are some of the superlatives we have. These are the OGs. We have most inspiring apps that activate and move the community through organizing, education, and storytelling. Coolest WebXR experiences. These are the VR and WebR apps that show the wonder of augmented and virtual reality in the browser. We have most helpful tools. These are the apps that help the community solve problems, whether they're big or small. That's like one of the coolest things about code is it's a tool to help you create tools. Most beautiful apps. These are always the hardest to pick from because all the projects that are made on Glitch tend to be really like stunning. So we want to know what are the apps that stuns you, whether it is the design of the web app or web page or generated art that really made you go wow. Then there's Made You LOL. These are memeable apps that made the community laugh and brought fun to the web. Best playlist on Glitch. These are playlists that are curated by you, the community, that are always on repeat and were your go-to for remixing and inspiration. That's one of my favorite categories of the superlatives here. And then there's Made You Learn. What are the educational apps that brought you offline into the real world or taught you to code or enriched your mind in any way? And then we're introducing a new category this year, which is Best Fediverse Apps. These are the apps that showed us how to build our own spaces to stay connected in this exciting an interesting era of decentralized social web. We've seen a lot of really awesome Fediverse ActivityPub apps coming through the Glitch community. And so we figured we should showcase those properly as part of last year on Glitch. It was probably the newest and most exciting movement to come out of what is probably a somewhat traumatic and terrifying social media segmentation that we've all been through the past year or so. So, yeah, you have until December 22nd to submit. Jen posted the link in the chat. You could also go to support.glitch.com where we post all these updates. And yeah, we want to hear what you choose. And then what we do is we put it on the Glitch site for a while into the new year. And we add a few other like categories that we generate from data. Those who have been around for the past years as we've done this know that like we keep a counter of how many times the community has rickrolled me. One of my favorites is I get to choose what is the weirdest place that I encountered a glitch app. It's usually some really interesting forum or subreddit. Yeah, and there's a few others that we kind of pull through as like bonus sprinklings to help really give you and everyone like a reminder of how uh, exciting and chaotic and creative 2023 has been to push us into 2024. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, you can get to the blog from the header of glitch.com to read that roundup, get to last year on Glitch. You could also go there to see what our app of the week is. So this week, our app of the week is Advice to Myself by Omar. If you were in the live stream last week, Advice to Myself is one of our favorites of the self-portrait code jam submissions. And it is a project that crowdsources guiding life principles from the community. It's a really beautiful and thought-provoking app that we're very proud to see built and grow on Glitch. And so we made it the app of the week. If you want to nominate your own app of the week, whether it's something you built or someone created, you can submit it to our app of the week. We have a forum in the forum, or you can email community@glitch.com. You can sound off in the comments on this video right here. Yeah, there's all different kinds of ways that you can reach out to us, even across social on Twitter and Mastodon. Just don't hold back. We want to know what you created, and if you want us to share it, we have the platform to do that, and we want to showcase you. What else is new? So in terms of building Glitch, this is just a reminder that we have been working towards updating Node on our containers, and we had a couple of deadlines coming up for work that we needed your help with. So we are deprecating older versions of Node on project containers. So if you are running projects that have versions Node 8 or lower, we do encourage you to go into those projects and update them to Node 16 if possible. What will happen is when these versions are deprecated, they won't be available on containers, so your project won't run. We're not going to delete your project or suspend it. It just won't become awake. And so you can go into the editor to wake up your project, update Node, and then your project will be running. And then ahead of April, we will have updated versions of nodes on containers and a schedule for how we keep that stuff up to date going forward. So we're kind of in this like awkward haircut stage together, but it will lead to just a more robust experience that also helps us look into support of other languages on Glitch. If you go to the Help Center, we do have a doc that lists what versions of Node you can use and how to change, update, or upgrade it that has that same table and timeline, and what tells you what happens if you're running deprecated versions, other notes and quirks of how Node and NPM work together and on Glitch, and all the information is there. If you need any help on getting your projects up to date or you run into any issues, go to help.glitch.com or you can email support@glitch.com and we'll be able to help you out with that. What else is new? Oh, and you can also go to support.glitch.com to the forum and see all these prior updates, all the building Glitch updates. We have open threads every other week where we just share like what we're working on. You can see I'm the pixel person surfing a Dorito. I posted a couple of updates today about the code jam last year on Glitch and all of that. So this is kind of the like one-stop shop for any updates about Glitch, and it's also where the community is sharing the projects that they're making, asking each other for help, and yeah, that's the place to be. This is also where we encourage folks to submit their Code Jam submissions. And this month, our Code Jam prompt is gift giving, because there's a lot of holidays going on. It's gift giving is like kind of the season, and we do have one submission so far. I wanted to share from Naoto Hieta, who said they misread the prompt and made a gift giving app, which, as I said here, you can't spell gift without GIF. This is another call out. Previously, I mentioned the community liking to rickroll me, so just to warn you, when you click on that project, it grabs a GIF from Giphy and turns it into ASCII art, which is just really, really, really cool. And so it is using the Giphy API as well as the P5JS ASCII art lib. So if you are interested in GIFs, which you should be, GIFs are cool, but you're especially interested in like live recreation of media into ASCII, which is also really cool, this is a good place to start. And Naoto makes some really cool projects to help you get started on like your creative journey, whether it's through P5 or Hydra, and a couple of other projects that they share in the gallery. So thank you, Naoto, for being so not just like prolific, but generous in sharing your creations. They're really inspiring. So shouts out. So Code Jams, I mentioned gift giving is the prompt. How do Code Jams work? These are monthly prompts, and you just have to add a couple of hashtags to the project description of your project so that we can see it, and then we share it. And so again, this month the prompt is gift giving. You just have to add hashtag CodeJam, hashtag gift giving to your project description. And this is just a casual, fun prompt for you to just create whatever you want to create. We have some projects to inspire you, other apps that people have made about gift giving. You can watch last week's stream where I went through all the projects from the last Code Jam as well as the inspiration. But let me just give you a like quick run through again of the self-portrait ones, because I'm really happy about how the community came through in that first jam. A lot of these, like advice to myself, as I mentioned, are app of the week. We had a couple of apps that take your webcam and generate an artsy generated version of your face. We had one that was a tool for making a pixel art portrait of yourself. And we had tools for working with CodeJam. Anil chose his blog because, again, what is a blog but a self-portrait of the writer? And then I had worked over the last few Code Jams my own self-portrait app, which you'll have to click if you want to see it. It's a little wacky, but yeah, really kind of the sky is the limit for what you want to create, and just take the prompt and see where you want to go with it. If you are still working on a self-portrait app, still submit it. I'm still looking at submissions and the different hashtags, but we just added the gift-giving hashtag so I can better filter it all out. And I'll get a bit into what my submission to the gift-giving jam is going to be, because I haven't started it yet. But I first want to show off some of the cool projects that the community has been sharing over the past week. So I'm going to change my window, and if you want to say hi in the chat, I'll keep an eye out for that. And take a sip of water, because staying hydrated is important. Okay, so here are some blogs and just glitch-related things that we saw in the community. So Minty Crisp, who made a really cool Conway's Game of Life in A-Frame, wrote a tips and tricks post on dev2, that's dev.2/mintycrisp, about tips and tricks of looping animation timelines on Glitch. There's a link to their portfolio, a way to support them, which you should. to encourage them to keep posting cool updates. And yeah, they kind of just break down how to loop animations in a WebXR experience using A-Frame. So if you want to get started with that, they write like really cool, clear examples, and you can see an embed right here of their animation looping here on Glitch. I'm gonna view the app in a new tab so you can see their work in action. So it's just like changing boxes and moving down, which is kind of cool, fun stuff. I think that the A-Frame is a framework for making WebXR in the browser, and it's like HTML components for 3D objects, and you could pull in different models and stuff and work with it with Three.js. And the starter for it are typically 3 shapes, and I kind of like the idea of like an animation starter, and this is just a good place to work from. So thank you to Minty for also being so generous in sharing your tips and tricks and using Glitch to do that. And they're also just like a cool color scheme that they always use for their stuff. So check that out. By the way, if you are on Dev2, Glitch also happens to be on Dev2. We post things about like testing on here. This is basically also an archive of our monthly newsletter. So if you don't do email, or you just prefer to read at your own leisure out of an email client, the monthly roundups and other news and stuff like that, dev.2/glitch is the place to go. This is me with a face mask on. I'm going to click here because also Fastly, our company, is on Dev2. And so if you're looking for more technical content, or wanting to know how to use Fastly and perhaps even Glitch together, and also get news from the open source ecosystem through our Fast Forward program, go to dev.2/Fastly, and that's where we post all of that content. So you'll see a lot of stuff here from my other colleagues on the developer experience team at Fastly. So yeah, just wanted to give a shout out. There's lots of cool content coming your way. Sue Smith did a really awesome post on pointing a domain at your site with Fastly, which you can use to point a custom domain for your Glitch project using Fastly. And all the directions are right here. So check that out. Let's see, what other projects do I want to share? Oh, okay. MLM copy pasta generator. I'm going to go into the chat and I'm going to type in, I see Sue's there. I know what I'm doing for gift giving, an HTTP Keanu status codes app. My, oh gosh, YouTube, like the studio will cover a comment with an emoji. Gift to the world. Okay, Sue, I'm gonna take your comment that you wrote and enter it into the MLM copy pasta generator. MLM are multi-level marketing, and it's kind of like it's a scam, and you have to try to get as many people involved in order for you to make your way up the pyramid. And there's just like a lot of memeing about how people try to sell you to MLMs. So it's a lot of like, hey girlie, I've got this really great opportunity. I don't know if you've ever gone to a blog and you look at the comments and there's like spam that's like, I found a way for you to make $5,000 per week working from home. Click here. It's like generally it's in that category. I'm gonna type Sue's comment in here to show you how it generates that. So I don't know if you could hear my keyboard. Maybe it's some clacky ASMR. Not when I'm talking over it though. I'm also getting used to my new keyboard. Okay, so then you type the text that you want to enter, and then you click it, and it generates it Remember me from high school? I know what I'm doing for gift giving. An HTTP Big Bucks Kiana status codes app. My gift to the world. Want to join my amazing team of ladies and change the world? And it sprinkles the emoji in. This glitch project comes up often in subreddits when I'm looking for projects all throughout social media. Um, and it comes up because a subreddit will get a spammy kind of MLM post, and somebody will respond snarkily with this, and then somebody will reply, "Wait, how did you generate this copy pasta?" And then they'll say like, "Oh, I like use this." It happens like every week when I'm searching for projects on social that y'all are sharing, which I am out there every day looking for your stuff. But yeah, it's always really funny to see um, this being used. So um, they always say like don't feed the trolls or don't respond to spam. I think it's funny to respond to spam with a little gag like that. It's pretty neat. But this project's been around for a while. You can tell because it has our glitch button here. This is made by Melissa, who used to be part of the glitch team. Um, Another project that's been on glitch for quite a while that is also popularly comes up is the Blackout Poetry Maker. That's blackoutpoetry.glitch.me, made by Emma Winston. Blackout poetry is really cool. You get a block of text and you black out parts of it to create a poem. And so you can click these words that you want to black out, and then it will leave the words behind the rabbit hole some way. It's a genre of poetry that you can generate from already existing poetry. You can enter custom text to get started out. So I'm gonna take Sue's comment again. I'm gonna type this all out so you hear that clickety clackety. Enter text. I'm gonna reset it. And I'm gonna black that out. Oh, you know what? You're supposed to, okay, you want to choose the words that you do know and then black out the rest. There you go. That's my blackout poem. I know Keanu. I don't know Keanu, but I do know somebody who used to live in the same building as him, and I've only heard nice stories about him. So, yeah. Anyway, Blackout Poetry Maker comes up often because a lot of school curriculums that do poetry end up mentioning this poetry maker because it makes it so easy to generate it. But I learned about it because it came up in this forum, sufficientvelocity.com. It's about like fiction tabletop games and stuff, and they're doing this thing called Winterfest. And part of that, one of the activities is a blackout poetry party. So they're like, hey, here's a tool that you can use. So shout out to that community and shout out to Emma for making Blackout Poetry Maker. It comes up on the web all of the time. It is very beloved by me and everyone else. Another app that I want to share that I really like is Utune. Utune, it streams quote relatively unviewed original songs posted to YouTube. It says, think of it as your neighborhood coffee shop open mic, but on the internet. I'm not going to click through because the videos are unmoderated and it says browse at your own risk. But this is one of like a number of really cool and interesting projects that Ellen Kitterman has made that enables discovery. So if you saw on blog.glitch.com, we feature their love letters to places I'll never meet. And I've shown this on previous streams before. They also made Scrubstack, which lets you kind of explore random Substack newsletter accounts. And so I want to give a shout out to Elan. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. Actually, I'm going to click say thanks. Because, one of the things about the segmentation of the community on Twitter and people kind of flocking to where their next space is going to be is that it makes it harder to do discovery and curation from the people that you know and we're connected to find really cool, interesting places on the web. And when you have a lot of centralized platforms still generating really good content, it's hard to find the offbeat, independent content that's there. And so, like, Scrubstack enabling you to uh, randomly find stuff. Although I'll say Substack is a very, I think, fraught platform. They allow a lot of content that are not aligned with my values and most values, but and as well as YouTube. But there's a lot of good stuff and good people making stuff, and it's a hard time to find the right place to put it where you have an audience so that you can do it sustainably. And so knowing that, I do appreciate projects like YouTube and Scrubstack that enable you to kind of take control over your discovery. It's kind of like subverting the algorithms that centralized platforms are having. Kind of similarly to how like the stuff that we're sharing like on Glitch is curated by the community because we find it by us looking on social media for what you are sharing versus like using an algorithm to feed you what we think will keep you looking forever. Like, we're people who build the web and we want this to be a friendly community, and so we curate in a way that is like genuine because that's what we want for ourselves. I'm gonna stop rambling and just thank all of you who are always making cool apps that make it easier to not only find like the cool stuff that's on the web, but also are the cool things on the web. Because that kind of feels hard to come by these days. Anyway, let's talk about code jams again. Okay, those are all the projects that I have to share with you that came from the community. Now we come to the conundrum that's been weighing on me for the past week and a half since we launched a gift giving jam, which is, what am I going to make? So let me change my window here as I take another sip. Okay. So we launched the gift giving code jam prompt, and then I'm like, great, I need to come up with what I'm going to make in stream live. And last night I had this idea of like, why don't I make a project? And I'm going to pull up another glitch app that I made here. I wanted to have it so that I wanted to be a multiplayer experience. So I was like, what if you go to a page and it's like, let's say it's an emoji of a smiling face, and you can make it happy by giving it gifts, or make it sad by giving it something that's not a gift. And I asked my partner Andy, like, what is the opposite of a gift? And I was thinking of like the gift emoji, and I'm like, what's the opposite of a gift emoji that's like bad? And I'm like, I don't want to do something cliche like the poop emoji because they put a smiley face on it, so it's like not exactly bad. And he said like time, a clock, and I was like, yeah, the opposite of a gift is the unbearing weight of the social construct of time. So I was like, what if you go to a page, and I'm just drafting this up right now. You go to the page and you have your cursor. So this is like person one, and then here's another person, and you see the cursors, and by default, they are the gift emoji, which I believe are like red. Okay. And you can see them moving around, and you can click them to change them to either be gifts or, let's say, like coal. And so at each time, it will count how many gifts there are. And if you have more gifts than coal, then the smiley face stays happy. And if you have more coal than gifts, then the smiley face is sad. This is like what I was like thinking of. So I was like, cool, okay. How I know how to put an emoji on a page. You know, if you follow the stream, that I know how to change the image of a cursor. Uh, but I haven't done multiplayer stuff in a lot, and in a very long time. I've made chat clients where you can detect how many people are in the chat using Socket.io, and I was doing that like in 2013, which I realized was a decade ago. So, um, but the ecosystem has changed a lot, and so I went on this journey last night to uh, relearn and work out WebSockets, because WebSockets will enable me to have everybody connect to a page and share with my server what location their cursor is, the fact that they're there, what location the mouse cursor is, and what the mouse cursor is, whether it's a gift or coal. And then the server can broadcast to everyone else on the page the locations of those cursors. It's weird because multiplayer and interactivity is so common on the web. Like Glitch has a multi-user editor. Think Figma, if you have ever used Figma and you can see everyone's cursors moving around. It's pretty much everywhere, but it's not exactly a simple thing to do. And so I went on a journey last night to create a starter to help me get started. And you'll quote, 2013 was a decade ago. Wants to see evidence of that assertion. The science is still out. I put in a report. Let's talk about WebSockets. And I didn't put together a proper curriculum for this, but if you're new to coding, from a general sense, when you go to a web page, you're the client, and you make a request to get a web page, and that web page exists on a server. And typically, you make the request to get the page, and then the communication is off until they respond with a server. And then that's it. The handshake is over. But there are things that you want to do continuously with the server that you can't wait for new connections to be made. So there are new protocols that exist to allow you to do that. So the original one that I just mentioned is HTTP. So when you go to https:/glitch.com, you're making an HTTP request to get the index page of Glitch. And then we send it to you, and then like that's it. The like relationship's over until you make like another request for another page, depending on how the site is built. And this is probably how like a lot of the web had worked. But again, it's efficient if you don't have many requests to do and you don't want to send a lot of data back. But it's slow if you want to do something like, let's say, video chat. When you're video chatting, you're constantly sending information to each other. That just wouldn't fly over HTTP all that well. And so there's the WebRTC protocol. And then there's another thing called WebSockets. It's another protocol, and that is mostly used for chat and data retrieval. I can't get too into the like difference between using WebRTC versus WebSockets because I haven't done as deep a dive on each of them. I've used both of them, and just typically WebRTC is for like multimedia, it's peer-to-peer. But for WebSockets, it's kind of like HTTP, except that connection stays continuous. And you're constantly able to message the server and get a response back. And it's way faster than say, making a fetch request and waiting for a response. And then if you want to do it again, making another fetch request. So the reason why we're using the WebSocket API is because we're going to have a few people on the page constantly sending their mouse cursor location and status, and it would be incredibly non-performant and inefficient to have to make an HTTP request every time the mouse moves. If you look at a mouse event, as the mouse cursor is moving, if you console log out that event, it's like the Matrix is coming down in DevTools in the console. So that's why we're using WebSockets. I made a starter. You can go to hello fastify websocket.glitch.me right now, and you can let's see, let me wake it up, and you can go to this right now. Once it's awake, you're a client on the page. So right now I'm a client, and so the server knows that I have one person on the page. I'm going to pop a link in the chat and see if I can get more this number increasing. I don't know if that link. Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh wait, I did that. I was just about to thank somebody for posting the link, and I'm like, oh, that's me. But when I'm commenting on the Glitch YouTube, it's commenting as Glitch and not Jenn Schiffer. So, um, yeah. So okay, so I'm on the page, and if I open another window, for example, now there's 2 client socket counts. And when I change tabs, oh, there's a third person. I'm 2 of them, and the third person is on here. I'm going to close this tab, and that will close one connection, and it updates it to say that there are 2. So now I'm tracking presence of who is on the page. All I know is that you've joined the page, count goes up, and the server's told, and then the server tells all the other windows or tabs and clients that there are people there that are present. So this is like the hard part we got going. I want to show you how this works, and it's on Glitch. You can view the source, you can remix it as your starter. I'm going to remix it as the starter for my gift giving app. But before I get into that, I want to show you the code of how it works. So let's jump into it. Okay. So back when I was doing WebSocket stuff, I was normally using Socket.io, which is a great like library for doing WebSocket-y things. I also think they do polling and other stuff. And again, that was the 10 years ago. And I was using that to make chat apps. And I've made a number of them. Some of them are on Glitch, but a lot of them use the Twitter API for sign-on, so they don't work. So I had to update them to have them use like maybe ActivityPub for logging in. So I kind of have this like soapbox I get on at the end of this README file where I say I used to make a lot of chat apps using Socket.io back in the day. So I'm like a bit rusty, and last night I was kind of diving into like what is the latest in the ecosystem. And while this starter was a lot of fun to make, I was still really shocked at how difficult it was to wrap my head around how to do something that seems so simple and fundamental to making interactive web apps. So I want to first and foremost give a shout out to everybody out there making stuff with multiplayer interactivity, because it, like, the more I do it, it feels easier, but it was quite a learning curve. The other thing is I am most familiar with the Express middleware on Node, and our glitch starters use Fastify. So this is my first time doing WebSockets with the Fastify middleware. And so this is called Hello Fastify WebSocket because it's using the Fastify WebSocket package, which I believe it's not with an S, so I'm going to fix that. I have the docs on here. I use Fastify WebSocket, and it gives kind of a few ways to get started, specifically a way to handle not only just WebSockets, but also HTTP requests, because I want you to be able to go to https:// whatever my project is. I want you to get to the index page. So you still need HTTP request to get to the page, but also I want you to then create a WebSocket connection. So they have a doc for registering both that route and the WebSocket handler. But there wasn't much more than that. And then I was reading, and it said it's WebSocket support for Fastify built upon WS, which is another WebSocket package that's agnostic of middleware. And so I was able to kind of figure out some other stuff that I wanted to do through reading these docs. So it was quite a journey. And then also, I heavily relied initially on the MDN web docs for the WebSocket API because Fastify is for the server. The server has to handle the WebSockets. That's a server only. You also need to know the API for the client side. So again, this is like quite a lot of plumbing that you have to put into place to do something as simple as having a client say, "Hey server, I want to talk to you and I want to have a continuous dialogue, so please don't hang up on me." And enabling the server to have that phone call open with many, many more people at a time. I hope that is somewhat clear. Let's get into the code. Okay, so in the directions for the index page, I just say, open up the console and DevTools to see messages from the server sent via WebSockets after the client sends one to the server. And you can open more windows to see the live counts of how many clients are open. So I believe I have one tab open, and then I have this preview window here, and there's someone else that's on the page. And so let's do that. I'm going to open up, I'm not going to view source. I'm going to open up DevTools. I'm going to open up the console. And you'll see here, I'm printing out all my messages from the page. So if I refresh, I receive from the server an object with value count being 3. And then I also received a message saying hello client. So I've connected to the server. I'm going to open up the logs of my app. And here I'm seeing the messages being sent from clients to the server. So when you're in the glitch editor, logs are basically like the console of the server side part of your app. So let's look at the server. So starting out, we're setting up a Fastify app. This stuff I kind of I copied over from our Node Fastify starter that you can find on our Discover page or on really any like create project modal that we have open. I started with the minimal one so I'd have a bunch of styling. And so I set up the initial count of how many people on the page, which should be 0 from the start. I register my app, I copied that over. This is that WebSocket server code from the Fastify docs that I copied over. So I don't know exactly, like you have to create the WebSocket server. You have to register that you're using the WebSocket package. I just used whatever it said for max payload. I don't know exactly what that means. I'll figure that out. And we'll get to this broadcast to all clients bit later. But this is just a helper function that I know that I want to use so that the server can send a message or broadcast to all of the clients an update. In this case, I want to have the server send every client that's on the page, how many people are there. So it updates this counter. And I had to find out how to do this by looking at GitHub issues for Fastify. Again, this is like quite a journey last night that I was on. But let's see here. So when you are building the server-side part of your app, you want to handle routes. So one route is the index. When somebody goes to the root domain of your app, in my case, it's hello fastify websocket.glitch.me. And so Fastify says, okay, if I get a GET request to that route, I handle that by replying with this file, views.index.html. And that's right here, which is the code that makes this up. And in this page, I have the client socket count, and I have a span element here that says waiting for server. When the server sends a message, I use JavaScript to update that to the count, and we'll get to that. And I'm loading a client.javascript file. So when you go to hello fastify websocket.glitch.me, you are loading this index page, including this client.js file, and the code in here is doing the WebSocket connection to the server. In that code, I grab where in the page I want to add that number. I call it a parking spot. Like if you wanted to show like an emoji for every person that's in that page instead of the number 3, that would be kind of the parking spot. And then we create a WebSocket, and this is the client side API that you can find through the web, the MDN docs. This is native to the web. You don't need a package like WS or WebSocket. This is like a native API. And so you create a socket, call it new WebSocket, and then instead of HTTPS, you use WSS. I don't know if WSS and WS are interchangeable. That's another thing I still have to figure out. But the WebSocket is to go to hello fastify websocket.glitch.me. If you remix this project, as I say here, you're going to need to update this line to be what the route of your WebSocket's going to be. It's not going to be to hello fastify websocket.glitch.me. You'll want it to be to whatever your project name is. So that's why I put that important note here, and I also noted that in the README. So Luke says, I think one is secured. That makes sense. It makes sense that WSS is the secure version of WS. Thank you. And you want to do secure. I think most unsecure WebSockets will end up blocked in browsers, just like HTTP without HTTPS ends up getting blocked. And so if you're working with WebSockets or HTTP requests and the firewall is blocking you or you're getting issues, make sure that those are secure. They should be secure anyway, but just from a technical standpoint, you might want to play around with that. But thank you, Luke, for the heads up. And this is why I do this live instead of on my own. Okay, so we created a socket, and then we want to open it. And when it's open, we want to send to the server the message, hello server. And so every time you go on this page, the server gets this message, hello server. And then we want to listen to when we get a message from the server. And so I had shown you that there were two kinds of messages that were coming through. A message from the server, it was saying hello client, or a count that is broadcasted. And so if we have a data.count, we want to change the inner HTML of the count parking spot, which is what said waiting for server. We want to update it to data.count. We want to update it to that number. So this is all happening on the client side to every single person that joins the page. Because clients don't know each other. They're not connected to each other. They're connected to the server. The server knows all of the clients, and so the server has to tell all the clients that they are there, which I hope doesn't seem too complicated. And if it is complicated, you're right, it is. This is a very like wacky way. Once you add multiplayer to the web, it is very chaotic, but when it clicks with you, the possibilities of what you can build and what you become inspired to build are like endless. I already am like, oh, I'm gonna add multiplayer to make 8-bit art so that multiple people can draw pixel art together. Like I'm like, oh, now I know how to like do this, which is really cool. Anyway, we're back to our handler on server.js. So we have the index.html and the client connects. So now for our WebSocket handler, when you're using Fastify WebSocket, this waits for a connection to happen. And when it does, connection's been opened, so we want to increase the number of clients because we start off with 0. And we want to tell all the clients that we have a count. And you have to stringify what you're sending. You can't just like send an object on its own. It will fail. You can only send I believe a string or like a number. So I'm using JSON.stringify to turn my count object, and then it broadcasts to all clients. So this is that helper function that I created that when it gets a message, we call fastify.websocketserver.clients, and for each of those clients, we send that message. So this is what, like, I found this snippet of code in a GitHub issue because somebody was like, oh, does Fastify WebSocket have a function for broadcasting? And the creator was like, oh, use this like library. And then someone was like, actually, this works. And so I don't know if this is like official or whatever, but it works. It gets the job done. Okay, so we've told all the clients that this is the count. And so all those clients get that message and it updates their parking spot with the count. Then we listen to see if the client sends a message to us. And so when they do, we console log out the message, we convert it to a string. And so that's what's happening down here. We get hello server. And then we send a message back to that connection. We JSON stringify an object, message, hello client. And that's why the client is able to console log out that. Finally, when a client leaves or closes a tab, we want to update the socket count so that everyone knows someone left. And so we listen on whether the socket closes. And when it does, we decrement the count, and then we call that broadcast to all clients function to let all the clients know the new count. And then this is just, I copied over from our node starter. This is just setting up the port for our app to listen on. So all of this kind of works. So there you go. It's seemingly not a lot of code, but it's doing something really kind of like almost magical. And then as far as the package JSON goes, I'm using Fastify handlebars for that's like the engine that to send back from my static file, and then the WebSocket API, and I'm using Node 16 on this. So you can remix it and get started from there and play around with it. And if you see that I'm doing something that like isn't best practice, or if you're like, oh, you can do this instead, please let me know, because I just spun this together over a couple of hours of research last night so I could actually get into doing what I want to do, which is not just having the count on the page, but actually showing your cursors. And so I'm actually going to remix this project so I can update the README with the vision of what I want to do before we wrap up this hour. If you have any questions as I'm doing that, let me know in the chat. Or you could also comment on the video if you're not watching this live. So now, this is my remix, Jelly Raspy Plier. Fresh copy. And this is the only socket open because it's just the preview window. This is not it's not this project anymore. So I'm going to close it out. Now I can update this without messing up my starter. So let's get here. I'm going to move some of this stuff here. What's going on? And what should I call this project? Jenn's gift giving game. And so what I want to do is a page where everyone who joins has the ability to bring me joy or bring me joy by giving gifts, or bring me pain by adding to the weight that the social construct of time has on me. Okay. So what we want to go on, okay. So we want to have a page with an emoji describing my state. Let's say happy, sad. I have a hard time getting the emoji keyboard to open. Yeah, I don't know. There's some reason the emoji keyboard shortcut isn't working for me. Oh look, someone joined. And for every client that joins, I'm gonna close this preview window because actually let me turn off auto refresh. Okay, for every client that joins, show their mouse cursor as a gift emoji. Clients can click to change their cursor from gift to clock. Bad. I'll say the more gifts, the happier the emoji state, the more clocks, the sadder it is. So that's like the vision. So what we gotta do on the client side now is we have to, on connection, we have to send a cursor state and location. On mouse move, send cursor state and location. So basically, actually the first thing we want to connect, which we'll do automatically like I do with the starter. And then on the mouse move event, we want to send a cursor state, which will be the X, Y, and whatever the emoji is, gift or clock. We can do like a Boolean, like true or false if it's two values, but maybe I want to have you click and change it to different states. On click, change cursor emoji. Okay. So that's what's going to happen on the client side initially. And then the server, on message from client, we want to we have to broadcast. We need to broadcast the states of all the clients. And we have to, because I want everyone to see their cursors and what their state is. This is gonna be the hardest part, I think. I'm gonna put hard part. I think that's gonna be the trickiest part to do. We already are keeping account of everything, but we have to like track the states of all those clients so we can keep broadcasting that back. And so we have to track not just count, but states of all the clients. And so then when we got a message from a client, be it its mouse moving or the state changing, we have to tell all the clients, hey, this is where their mouse is. And so on the client, we have to, on message from server, update the page to show the current states of all the clients. And then we also have to, as well as update the state of my happiness, which we will also, and the ratio of gifts to time, because we want to update the emoji based on that. So that, I think, is like the pseudocode of what I want the project to do. And so next week on the live stream, we're gonna like get into that. We're going to start sending. I want to jump into sending the cursor states of all the clients to the server and have the server send that back to the clients, and we'll console log it out first so we can make sure that we're getting the right information, and then we can see like how we're going to show that, because I want to use emoji, and so you'll have your cursor, but I can say for each of those client objects, add to HTML an emoji at those locations. I think this will be a lot of fun. There's a lot of work to do. This is very ambitious, but this is how we learn. Anyway, I would love to know if you have any ideas for what you would want to do for a gift giving project on Glitch. And as you can tell, this just involves gift emoji, because I'm like, oh, I want to learn multiplayer. I want to dive into WebSockets more, especially with Fastify. This isn't like, this is a gift to my never-ending journey to learn and cause pain upon myself by having to do complex JavaScript. But if you have any like cool ideas, I want to learn about them. Share the projects that you're doing, whether they're gift giving or not. And thank you for joining. I will see you next week, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern on the Glitch YouTube. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate that. And you can comment ideas that you have. If I'm doing something wrong, shout it out. If you are wanting help on something, or you want to share a project that you want me to show off next week in episode 6, let's do that. And remember, go to glitch.com, check out blog.glitch.com, where you can get the last year on Glitch nominations form. Update your Node project. You see I'm using Node 16. If you're using Node 6 and 8, update it. And I will see you on glitch.com. Bye.